So just looking at the schedule, I think a successful season for Mike Elko, win the games that you're supposed to win.
Welcome in, everyone. TexAgs Rewind presented by Specs. We're inside the Rollo Insurance Studio. Carson Stein is here with me, Luke Evangelist behind the glass. Carson, what was your favorite part of the show? Save what you're going to say for the end of the show. Your mic's not even on. What are we doing back there, folks? It's okay. We'll leave that in. Luke Evangelist, is your mic on?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay, cool. Well, we had Stephen McGee on the show. I don't want to hear from you. Just wondering if your mic was on. Stephen McGee on the show. We had Caroline Fenton, Aaron Torres, and, well, we didn't have Jamie McCoy, but yeah, we had a good show. So keep it right here, TexAgs Rewind. What do you hope to see out of Connor Wigman this year? Is there something that you've seen in the past? Or like, man, if he works on this bit of his game, he's going to go to another level? Or, what do you think he needs to work on the most there?
Honestly, I think outside of just the physical ability, I think the biggest thing for him is just proving certainly, I think the guys in the locker room love him and rally around him and work for him. But I think he's got to prove to the NFL teams that he can be the CEO, that they can pay him $40 million a year, and he can be the face of that franchise. And so I think it's taking on that leadership role and being the face of the program. Does the team feel like he elevates everyone around him to be better, right? And really embracing that leadership role. And it doesn't have to be the most outgoing personality. It just has to be this fire presence that he brings to the huddle, right? And I think that those characteristics of a great quarterback that necessarily don't show up on a stat line or aren't something that's visible on the screen all the time are the things that could really move the needle a lot for him, in my opinion. Now, I think outside of that, the obvious things are he's got to stay healthy, right? I mean, he's got to stay healthy for 12 games. If we're going to have a chance to win and have a good football team, he's got to be healthy. The second part is, I look at his game. He protects the football. He does a great job of that. But he's also not conservative, right? He'll take aggressive decisions downfield. I think his greatest strength is that quick release. He's accurate. And boy, when he decides to pull the trigger, the ball is out quick. He's decisive for a young guy. And that's always really, really impressed me. I'd say if you're critical of any part of his game, maybe it would be his deep ball, right? He doesn't have the strongest arm. That's just not his game, but you don't have to. I mean, let's think about one of the greatest quarterbacks ever, Drew Brees. Maybe he could throw the ball 40 yards, 42 yards. But boy, he was incredible. He was a magician with the football. And so I think just throwing a catchable deep ball is more important than having a cannon of an arm. But man, top to bottom, the guy's got a lot going for him. He's got an incredible skill set. And you guys know how big I've been on Connor since his first snap as a freshman.
How much do you think the SEC is going to benefit from the expanded playoffs, right? So you get your one auto bid for the conference champion, then you got 7 at-large spots up for grabs. Do you think they sneak in 3 teams, maybe 4? Like how much is a 9-3 SEC team going to be looked at? What light are they going to be looked at compared to the rest of the nation?
Well, I think it's going to help a little bit, but keep in mind, we did this stupid thing where we allowed them to say 4 conference champions all move to the front of the line. Mm-hmm. And I think it's asinine. I think what should have happened was, if we're going to go 12-team playoff, at the end of the, after conference championship weekend, what the committee does? They all get together in a room and they announce, here's our teams. And they still do the 1 through 25, which I also think is stupid. Like, why are we doing the top 25? Like, who's ranked 24th doesn't matter. But like, it should just be 1 through 12. That those final rankings, take 1 through 12. You're telling me right there, those are the 12 best teams in the country, right? Yep. If we're ranking them 1 through 25, 1 through 12 are the top 12 teams in the country. That's who should be in the playoff. But we said, no, we got to do conference champions because, everybody gets a trophy. Everybody gets a turn. We got to give the Big 12 their spot, all this. And so there was a real scenario, and I keep throwing this out there, that the SEC could have 4 teams that are 10-2, possibly an 11-1 and 3 teams 10-2. And one of those 10-2 teams is going to get left out because you're going to have possibly a 9-3 or 10-3 Big 12 champ and say like Kansas State wins the Big 12, they move to the front of the line. They get a first round bye. You could have a 10-2, 9-3 Florida State wins the ACC. They move to the front of the line. And then keep in mind the highest ranked non-Power 5 gets an automatic bid, which last year would have been Liberty. Some people are talking up Fresno State as that team this year. They get an automatic seed. So, I mean, look, the SEC will probably get 3, maybe 4 teams in, but I had somebody ask me the other day, what do you think? You think the SEC will get 5? I'm like, no, mathematically, it's not going to happen because there's too many other teams that are going to be in this mix and are going to have better arguments for it. And one other thing I'll throw in too, it may behoove you not to go to Atlanta play for the SEC title game, because if you end up with 4 teams that are 10-2, if you're 10-2 and you go play 12-0 Georgia in the SEC title game and you lose, you're now 10-3. And now you got 10-2 Ole Miss and 10-2 Missouri looking sexier than you with 3 losses. I think they jump you. So there's a lot of things that can happen this year that are going to play out. But I just think the SEC, look, we know it's the most dominant conference, but pump the brakes on everybody thinking, oh, they're going to get 5-6 teams in. It's just not going to happen.
Talking to Aaron Torres on the Boss Firearms Hotline, Aaron Torres of Fox Sports Radio and the Aaron Torres podcast. Do you think we'll see any movement on a new SEC scheduling model at all? Do you think it's time that something like that starts to be put in place with the 9-game, conference schedule?
Yeah, I think just reading the tea leaves, you see day after day, it feels like future out-of-conference schedules are being changed. What was it? Auburn? What was it? Florida and Cal, I saw, canceled a series for the future. And I don't know how college football is going to survive without that one, because, I was looking forward to those Florida-Cal games like you can't even imagine, Nick. But, no, Florida-Cal, I think, what was it, Georgia and UCLA maybe? I can't remember all the details, but it feels like we're going towards 9. And, bluntly, I don't know why we wouldn't. First of all, it's obviously good for the fans. I think you're talking about a 12-team playoff era where, again, a loss isn't going to derail your entire season for any team in any conference. And so there's no reason that the SEC shouldn't be playing more games, because more games mean more money for the league and the league members. So that, to me, is where we're headed. I think the other thing, too, is just with the way the conferences are, it's harder to find more high-profile out-of-conference games just because there's fewer teams. The pool is smaller just because of the circumstances of college football. So anyway, I bring it up to just very simply say, I think we're going to get there. I don't know if an official announcement will come next week, but it feels like sooner rather than later we'll be at a 9-game SEC schedule going forward. And like I said, I think for the betterment of the sport, I have no complaints about adding an extra league game.
What do you think a successful season for A&M will look like this year under, year 1 under Mike Elko?
It's easy for me to say like, oh, hey, 8-4 is a successful season in year 1. But looking at A&M's schedule ahead of me, Notre Dame, that's not an easy game to start with, even though you get the Fighting Irish at home. Welcome to Texas A&M, Mike Elko. Now you're playing Notre Dame. You play at Florida. That's not an easy place to play, especially because the Swamp isn't like a normal place for Texas A&M to play. Maybe teams that play Florida on a yearly basis, whether it's Tennessee or South Carolina, maybe they know what to expect from the Swamp. Texas A&M is new to the Swamp. Even though I don't think that Florida is going to be any sort of world beater, even though I do think Billy Napier is going into this season with his seat scorching hot, the Swamp is a force multiplier. You get Arkansas in Dallas. I don't think Arkansas is going to be that great of a team. I think that's a game that Texas A&M should win. Missouri. I expect Missouri to be another team that could, be and play for the SEC championship game. So just looking at the schedule, I think a successful season for Mike Elko, win the games that you're supposed to win. Beat Arkansas, beat Bowling Green, beat McNeese. You should probably win at Auburn with all of the questions that Auburn has. You should win at South Carolina. Those are games that Texas A&M should be expected to win. And I think if Mike Elko is able to steal a game that's a little bit more of a toss-up, or a game that we view as a game that Texas A&M shouldn't win, I think that's successful. Beat the teams you should beat, add another one in there, and I think that Aggie fans can feel good moving forward.
Carson, can you tell the people what to comment? You don't have to tell them anything else. Just tell them what to comment.
Comment who you think the greatest player in NBA history is, LeBron or Michael Jordan.
What's the right answer?
LeBron James.
Luke, what's the right answer?
LeGoat.
I'm going to go Team Jordan. We'll see you next time.